Hey y'all, my name's Mel and I'm with the Ogeechee Riverkeeper in Savannah, Georgia. And today I'm going to be leading you through a nature-based gentle flow yoga class. This is in partnership with the Botanic Garden at Georgia Southern University, where I'm located right now in Statesboro, Georgia. So today for class you will need a mat or a blanket and then an extra blanket to sit on or even a rolled up towel. We'll start off in a seated meditation, so come to the most comfortable seat for you, either with legs crossed or legs stretched out in front of you. And if you need a little elevation, you can sit up on a blanket or that rolled up towel and bring your hands to your laps. Just breathe. Closing your eyes if that feels comfortable to do so. Relax your shoulders down your back. And breathe. You can place a hand on your belly or a hand on your chest to feel your breath coming in and out. Listen to your surroundings. What do you hear? What do you see in the garden if you have your eyes open? The Ogeechee River watershed, located in Georgia, spans 5,500 square miles. Imagine what you would see, hear, and experience traveling south through the watershed. From the headwaters in the Piedmont just south of Athens, moving through the coastal plain to the cypress swamps and saltwater marshes near Savannah, ending up in the Atlantic Ocean. Slowly make our way out of meditation, opening your eyes if they're not already, and we're going to make our way slowly standing in mountain pose at the top of our mat. Standing in mountain pose at the top of your mat, I'll demonstrate in the center of mine. You'll have your feet hips width apart, all four corners of your feet pressed into the mat, with a micro bend in your knees to not overextend. Have a slight tuck of the tailbone, engaging your core. Bring your spine straight and tall. Open your palms to open up your shoulders, broadening out your chest, and gaze out straight ahead. Standing tall in mountain pose, we're going to take a tour of the Ogeechee River watershed through yoga poses today. So we're starting at our headwaters, the top of the watershed. And a watershed is an area of land that all drains to a common point or body of water. And breathe here in mountain pose with eyes open or closed. So from mountain pose, we're going to move into a tree pose. So you can come to the center of your mat like I am or stay at the top. We'll bring weight into our left foot and just lift our right foot off the mat just a couple of inches or so at first. This is a balancing pose, so you can bring your right foot to the inside of your left ankle with your toes down on the ground if you need extra support, or bring your foot up higher on that left leg, either at your calf or above the knee at your thigh. If you need a little extra support, you can leave your hands on your hips or bring them to heart center in front. If it feels okay for your balance today, you can reach your arms up overhead like a tall tree. You can wiggle your fingers like leaves blowing in the wind. Maybe even your branches begin to blow side to side. And if you fall out of this pose, that's okay. You can come back into it. Keep your core engaged and relax your shoulders down your back, standing like the tall tree that you are. And on your next exhale, lower your hands down to your side and lower that right leg and stand still in mountain pose once more. Notice the difference on each side. So just like our bodies need balance, so does our ecosystem. So we're going to move into this pose on the other side, bringing the weight into the right leg. Lift the left leg off the ground just a little bit, maybe rotate out that ankle, and bring the left foot into the correct placement for your balance on this side. It may not be the same. Our bodies are not always symmetrical in balance. Bring your hands to either your hips or up overhead. And imagine yourself as a tree that grows by the water. So maybe you're a tulip poplar, an American beech tree, a sycamore tree, or even further down the watershed, you might be a bald cypress tree with that knee sticking off to the side, just like a cypress knee sticks up out of the water. Keeping your core engaged here. And on your next exhale, lower your hands down to the side and relax that left foot, coming to stillness once more in mountain pose. And breathe here. From here, we're going to sway our hips, getting out of those cracks and pops, any stillness left over from that tree pose. And we'll move into large hip circles or small hip circles. Just getting some movement and fluid into those joints. Make sure to go in both directions. And then we can come to stillness with our hips and move our upper body. So moving your chest in large barrel rolls or small, whichever feels best for you. Come to stillness with that chest, and we'll do a little shoulder shimmy, rolling our shoulders back, alternating sides, maybe going forward. And just like the circles that we're making with our bodies, the water makes circles as it moves through the watershed. As the weather changes, just like those storms that we have closer to the coast. So come back to stillness in mountain pose at the top of your mat. And here we are, the calm after the storm. One deep breath in and out. We'll move into a warrior series. So we're going to start with our right foot. Bring that back. The edge of your foot will be parallel to the back of your mat. Your right leg will be straight with a micro bend in that knee to not overextend. Keeping a generous bend in the left knee. Make sure you can still see your left front toes. Next, focus on your hips, bringing engagement to your core. And you can keep your hands placed on either side of your waist, or you can bring them outstretched to either side, looking over that front middle finger. Relax your shoulders down your back, and be strong in the warrior pose that you are. Warrior represents stewards of the environment, so protectors of our environment. Think about a way that you can be a protector of your environment. And relax those hands down to your side. Turn your left toes parallel to the edge of your mat, and we'll heel toe our feet slowly together, coming back to stillness in mountain at the top of the mat. So we'll come through warrior on the other side, starting at the top of our mat and stepping back with our left foot, bringing the edge of that foot parallel to our mat, keeping a generous bend in that right knee, making sure you can still see your right toes, and bring your arms into the placement that feels best for you. If you have your arms stretched out to either side, make sure you look over that front middle finger. The Ogeechee River Basin has been occupied by humans for the last 10 to 12,000 years. For many reasons. Different cultures, different ethnicities, and different languages could be found here. They use the river, like we do today, for food, shelter, travel, recreation, even war and peace. On your next exhale, lower those hands down to your sides. Bring your right foot parallel to the edge of your mat and heel toe your feet together again. Coming to stillness in mountain at the top of your mat. So here we'll make our way to the ground slowly through a couple of different poses, starting with down dog. So we'll sweep our arms up overhead and we'll come down through a forward fold very slowly, bending those knees. And then place your hands down on the mat and step your feet back into a downward facing dog. You can pedal out those feet, stretching out the backs of your legs, letting your neck relax here. Your head can hang heavy, and you'll press into those hands so that you're pressing the weight back more towards your lower body to keep pressure off of your wrists. So the shape that we're making here might look like some of those sand hills that you find in the firegrass ecosystem as you move south through the watershed. On your next exhale, we'll lower our knees very slowly to the ground, and we're going to make our way into a child's pose. Here, if you need a little padding under your knees, grab a blanket, place that underneath your knees, and bring them out towards the edges of your mat, sitting back on your heels, and then lower your upper body slowly with your arms stretched out in front of you in a child's pose. You can rest your head on the ground, or you can put it up on a prop if you need a little elevation. We'll stay here for 5 breaths. So while in child's pose, we'll think of ourselves as a sunbathing turtle. So you may have seen turtles stretched out on rocks by lakes in the sunshine. And that's because they, like other reptiles, are ectothermic or cold-blooded. So they have to keep themselves and their body temperature regulated by going into the sun if they're cold, or going into the shade or underwater if they're hot. So some aquatic turtles that you may know are yellow belly sliders, which are very common in our watershed. And the further south you go, you may see common snapping turtles, terrapins, mud turtles, musk turtles, and some terrestrial turtles, which means they live most of the time on land, are box turtles, and our state reptile, the gopher tortoise. So on your next inhale, you'll come up out of child's pose slowly, and you make your way into a seated position at the front of your mat with your knees bent and your feet placed out on the floor. You can scoot that blanket to the back of your mat. We'll sit up nice and tall here, engaging our core. And we'll come down to the ground slowly through a boat pose, or alligator pose as I like to call it. So engage your core here and stretch your arms out in front of you. If you'd like a little bit more core strengthener, you can lift one foot, maybe the other foot, or lift them both off the ground, keeping your spine straight, and clap your hands together a couple of times, like an alligator snapping its jaws shut. You can lower your feet if you'd like, but keep your core engaged and those arms out in front of you. An alligator is known as a keystone species because it creates habitat for other animals. It makes burrows in the side of creeks or rivers or lakes that other animals use to hide in. Just like a gopher tortoise does the same thing with its burrows. You can lower those arms to the ground, and we're slowly gonna roll down to the ground, hugging our knees into our chest. And when you get there, keep hugging those knees in, and you can rock from side to side like a roly-poly or a pill bug. And just breathe, giving your lower back a gentle massage. On your next inhale, raise your arms and your legs up towards the sky and very gently start to flutter them and shake them out like jellyfish tentacles, floating out into the Atlantic Ocean towards Ossabaw Island. Maybe you float over to the left, float over to the right, and slowly bring those back down, hugging your knees into your chest once more. If it feels good, lift your head off the ground towards your knees, one tight hug, and then relax. We'll move into our final resting pose, so you can lay out flat on the ground in Shavasana. If you need a little support, adding something up underneath your knees or something up underneath your head, arms flat down on the ground beside you, and closing your eyes if that feels comfortable to do so. We've made our way to the common point, the Atlantic Ocean, the end of our watershed. We'll lay here in relaxation for a few moments. While you lay here in relaxation, I'll read a quote from a local author in a nearby watershed. I think of my own life, how it embraces a great quest to know every cog of nature, the names of the oaks and ferns, the secret lives of birds, the taste of venison and Ogeechee lime, wax myrtle's smell and rattlesnakes, contour of bobcat tracks, the number of barred owl cackles, the feel of the Okefenokee swamp, water on my skin under a blistering sun. This is an excerpt from Ecology of a Cracker Childhood, written by Janice Ray. Very slowly, start to wiggle your fingers and toes, keeping your eyes closed if that feels comfortable to do so. And roll over onto your side, using your top arm to push yourself up into a seated cross-legged position. Opening your eyes if they aren't already. And we'll reach our arms up overhead, bringing our palms together at the top, down through heart center, pausing at our chest. Thank yourself and your environment for this practice today. Peace be with you. Namaste.